Alright, just trying to finish this up, and I started playing with silicon bronze. Texas Viking, he gave me some, I was asking him about it. He knows what's up with welding, and I've just pulled the paint off these holes here, and so I'm going to try and lay some silicon bronze in there. The idea is that it has a much lower melting point, and it's pretty good. It's good for welding vertical and stuff. I got this tacked in here and then just heated it up, and it really sucked in. So I'm just going to try and lay the bronze down in these holes, hopefully without making them any bigger. Alright, remember how I was saying that I didn't want to get into the lead? And while I was doing the silicon bronze, I stayed on the pedal for just a little too long, and then the whole thing just dropped out. And I just went in with a torch now and just cleaned it all out. So that kind of sucks. So I guess now I'm just going to fill it up with bronze, or get it back up to a decent height, and then put some Duraglass on it. One step forward, two steps back. Alright, cheers. Alright, so I can't remember where I left off, but I melted all the seam sealer out as far back as it needed to be, and then this is a spot where like 3 or 4 panels meet, and there's a pretty big hole, and it was only just seam sealer. So I got the silicon bronze in there, and I got this nice and low in here, and it's all pretty good. I mean, I think it's good, but I've never done this shit before. So, and then once that's done, a mate of mine advised to put the seam sealer on last, so I'm gonna do that.
Trying to get any more license plates lately?
Oh, that one license plate's ready to get, but I can't get to the DMV to pick it up. Maybe that's them saying they're not giving it to me anymore. So I've got a coat of Dynaglass on there, coat of Rage, and then some glaze on top of that, and looks pretty smooth. I think it's alright. I'm not going to go any further. The seam seal is going to cover this part. You know, as you can see down here, this is still a factory seam sealer. So, and that's where I started grinding out. So I'll pick the seam sealer back up there, and that'll fill the edge in properly, and then I'll probably do another glaze coat when I'm actually doing the body work for the rest of the car. But for now, I thought I'd just get it all smoothed out so I can be done with that. So it's a little bit of progress, still a long way to go. Way back when I put this body back on the frame temporarily, I used the rubber mounts, and of course I didn't put the sleeves in, so when I ran it down, popped the body mount bolts through the floor. So I'm going to weld all these up. There's all 4 of them. I've got my bucket seat mounts as well. I can't set those in until I actually have the buckets. I bought a pair, but they're up in Oregon. A set of bucket seats for an A-body, no matter what condition, are like $800 around here, which is insane. So I found a nice pair for $300. So it's worth the 10-hour drive or whatever to go pick them up, I think. Well, that was easy enough. If everything else was that fast and easy. Alright, so today's big day. I'm going to get the hood blasted and then throw it in some primer. Alrighty, so the bottom side of the hood's done, and I'm up to here. I brought 9 bags. Figured that'd be enough. Of course it wasn't. Should have got 10. So I'm out of media, and I've still got to finish the other side, but it's also raining, so I've got this, looks like a trail of gunpowder from an old western. It's just, there's so much media in that hood. I tried to blow it out as best I could, but there's still tons in there, so it's pretty funny that it left this trail. It's Saturday. I'm gonna finish stripping this, and obviously grab all the little flash rust. You can see all the fingerprints and stuff started to rust up because it was sitting around and it rained all week. So I'll get this all stripped and blasted and get in primer. Down with some surface wash, and let this dry out for a second, and then get ready to paint it. We're going to go for about 16 ounces. Well, there it is after 3 coats of primer out in the solar booth. Lots of crap in it, of course. Start to see finally some of the dents and stuff. A little one right there in the middle. There's another one up in the corner. So we'll let that dry and start on some other stuff. Cheers. Alright, so I have a stupid idea about the bumper, and I think I might give it a shot. I'm digging how well I've got it adjusted as far as centered and everything. I can't do too much about how much further forward it can go. Just based off the way the brackets and this inner edge is here, I think I could probably bring it in a bit. But what I was thinking, when you look down both sides, there's a decent gap between the fenders. It's even at the moment. Well, I'll probably measure it, but basically I'm just thinking about maybe tucking it in a little bit. So I always wanted to section a bumper or chop a bumper, but I've never really had an opportunity. And because of the way the design is with the tail lights, it pretty much only leaves it down to this area here. I think I could take the width I need out, and based off the mounting brackets and everything, it shouldn't affect anything because all the holes are slotted, and even if I needed a little more room, I could probably hog it out a bit. But yeah, so I gotta send the thing out for rechroming anyway, so I don't know, it might be a fun project, and never done it before, so might give it a shot. Alright, cheers. Okay, so I got my trusty old calipers, actually Pexto, which is really cool. So I was thinking about 1/2 inch. There's definitely 1/2 inch in some areas down in here. So I pushed out and I went 7/16. I think it's going to be cool, if it works, that is. I mean, it's just, you know, if you look dead top down, you can see that gap. It'd just be nice to have this sitting in. I mean, you know, the actual edge of the bumper is about 1/2 inch proud of the pinch in the quarter panel. So bringing that down 7/16, I think that'll be really neat. If I get it, if I do it right. So now I'm going to get this thing off. It's such a pain in the ass by myself. And then we'll think about cutting it. Alright, cheers. There's one more look at that. I think I'm going to call this one How to Ruin a Perfectly Good Bumper. I got the edges of this guy cleaned off, and I really don't know how to do this. It's just such an oddball shape. There's no way I can hold it up square on whatever combo on the sawhorses and stuff. So I just decided that what I'll do is use the clamps to decide the center of the metal between the seam, if that makes sense. And now I'll just put a couple tacks on the inside, and then let it decide where it wants to be. Okay, well, got some tacks on there. Probably more than I would have liked, but obviously putting this thing on by myself, it's kind of got to lift it by one side, so it seems nice and straight across this top edge. So let's see what happens. Pretty excited. I gotta say, I'm surprised with actually how good it's fitting. This side looks pretty nice. Tucks in nice. I'm calling that pretty good. So right now, from body line to body line on the bumper to the quarter, pretty much an inch. It's an inch and a quarter. What I think I might do is, you know, this just fits so well. So you can see here, the top of this bumper sits a little further out than the panel, where here it's sort of sits in. This is like the perfect fit, but I think I might go to the effort, and I was trying to figure out the best way to bring this whole side in, and sort of what I came up with is that I might actually just trim the bracket, because you can see where that bolt comes through. So if I trim along here, and I don't know, maybe take an 1/8 inch out. Obviously I've got to do it to the top of the bracket as well, but because then otherwise this would just come in here, and it's already a little in lower. It's already kicked a little this way. So I think what I'll probably do is, if I do an 1/8 inch on either end and then weld it, should be good. Alright, because I don't really know what I'm doing, I want to make sure that these brackets stay square when I cut them off and weld them back on. So I just cut a piece of angle iron and then marked it, and I'm going to drill this out. Okay, so I just made this little jig, and that should keep everything aligned when I cut it off, or on a flat surface. That's exactly 90, close enough to 90, what I would call 90. So now at least when I cut these off and move them back, as long as this reads 90 again, I'm safe to weld them in, and nothing should change too much, hopefully. At least on that plane anyway. And then, so anyways, alright, cheers. I got my 1/4 inch marked out and squared off. I really don't know any better way to do this than essentially take this 1/4 out and then butt it back together and tack it and do the other side. And then I think if I do that way, as long as I come back and I check and I wind up with 90 on this after I've done a 1/4 out of all three, I think I'm in business. We'll see what happens. Cheers. Well, I hate to say it, but I think that works. Well, I like to say it. A set of these guys. Like that. And then this side. Pretty close. Might be out by 1/16, I think, by the time it's all said and done, and difference, but I'm pretty damn happy with that. So the top and the corner looks really good. Tucks in nice. I'm digging that. So really, to ensure that it's going to stay like that, the next thing I need to do is put a bunch of welds on the outside here. So I think I'll do that while it's all bolted in and tight. I'll have to do a little bit of work on the lower valance to get that to fit, but that's another project. Okay, I got the bumper back off. I'm gonna clean this up and put some welds down the back of it, and I got the bracket back in the jig. Alright, so the bracket's completely welded. The bumper is completely welded both sides. I ground down the welds just a little bit, I just knocked the top off them. The bumper guys said not to grind anything. They do all the finish work, so that's the other side. I think that tucks in pretty good. Pretty stoked. That was a lot of work. Definitely worth it. There's one more shot with the lenses just sitting in there. Makes me feel a little more complete. So yeah, then next weekend, get the valance to fit the lower bumper, and maybe hood hinges, and what else I gotta do? Oh, I gotta mount the heater box, and then if I put that in, then I can put the fenders on, and technically the hood hinges, which means I could also put the hood on. So that'll be big round of visual progress on that one. I think it's time for a beer. I'm just so stoked with that. I can't believe how well it worked. Alright, cheers.